love this moment here. It's so good. I do love that middle section. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to this special weekend focusing on rock music with orchestra. And today's poll winner is Metallica's Enter Sandman. Also from the Symphony in Metallica, shall I say, series. It's from S&M 2, a live album by Metallica and the San Francisco Symphony, a follow-up to the first S&M released in 1999. This album was recorded and filmed at the Chase Center in San Francisco on September 6th and 8th, 2019. So 20 years later, a similar approach and another song which I have done my first listen to and I enjoyed immensely. It was interesting to me. I'm very curious to see how it sounds and how they've treated it now. So it's interesting comparing to what I heard yesterday as far as the overall approach. Of course, it's a different song, right? With a whole different mood and feel to it. And I appreciate the fact that they haven't done what they did with the previous song because it certainly wouldn't fit as well. And that is with the sweeping strings and the nice kind of romantic background. This is much more angular, much more, I could say much more modern, even in the orchestral part. It has this jagged, ragged feel, which works very well with the song. And also, unlike the other one, this one is starting with a heavy emphasis on the drums. The drums are kind of the focal point, and you hear the orchestra just doing some kind of stabs on the violin in the introduction. Let's just back up and listen to that a little bit there. It's mostly drums. Oh, okay. But still the guitar is just setting us up. Okay. Still rhythmic. But listen to all the drums and the string. Ding. Some trombone, but very sparse and angular, kind of like a rugged, barren landscape feel. Now we're settling in. Just in time. Crowd involved. Is this? So I'm listening to how the orchestra is being used in this piece, and it's certainly taking much more of a backseat role. This is much more heavily weighted towards the rock side of things, at least so far. It's working very well, but that's because it's being kept in the background, and I'm kind of curious. It would be interesting to hear a more, I'm envisioning how it could work with more orchestral involvement without dampening this energy and intensity. And I think it could work. I'm not saying that it should, but this whole weekend of just focusing and listening on how the orchestra has been used along with rock music, and this is a whole different way of using it compared to what I listened to yesterday. Now, so what do I mean by how are they using it here? Here, we have essentially the rock band. We have the drums, very prominent. We have the singer, we have the guitar, we have the bass, and that is the core of the piece even now. And you could take out all the orchestra parts, and this would hold together pretty well just the rock band itself. That's what I mean by saying the orchestra is not serving equally in its role with the rock band. If they were serving equally, then you would take one out, you would miss it. You would take the other out, you would miss it. Here, we might notice that it was missing, but it wouldn't destroy the feel of the piece. But I like what it's contributing. This sort of, I keep coming back to stabbing strings. Scattered, here, there, kind of like the same sort of feel that the lights give when the lights are going crazy. It's that same sort of scattered and bright, pointed, intense moment, kind of stabbing a light through the dark or something like that. And the whether it's the trombones or the strings or the woodwinds, it stays back there, but it's still adding this sort of extra liveliness to the piece. Dum, 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 bum, dum. Da-dum, dum, bum, bum, bum. Okay, there's the guitar solo. There's a little bit of orchestra in the background. Yeah, I can hear the violins a bit. Bum, bum, bum. Okay, da-dum. Da-dum. Ooh. That's kind of cool the way that works. With the voice. Okay, this works well. Oh, that's a good shot. So even though we don't really hear the orchestra on an equal footing with the rock band, that doesn't mean they're not working and not doing something. And this is a great shot here, I just noticed. Not terribly rare. You see this happen, but it happens when strings and violinists are really bowing the instrument, okay? Now take a look here. We come to the end here. It's coming. I love this moment here. It's so good. And maybe before we get to the violin bow, I should talk about this for a bit. This, with the drums and the guitar dropped out. Now we don't have the guitar. We just have the voice, or two voices going on here. And this sort of dark, menacing, scary. But somehow I feel like with the orchestra added in, doing its part, still the bouncing around, I feel like it really enhances this section. It does. I like it. It gives it more of a, shall I say, a scary fairy tale feel, which to me is a big part of this piece. As I said, I think I said way back in my first listen, it's been a while, but I think I talked about how it felt like a scary fairy tale for grown-ups sort of thing, where you wouldn't really put your child to sleep with this sort of bedtime story. But digging into some of the Snow White, heavy thoughts tonight, they aren't of Snow White, dreams of war, dreams of liars, dreams of dragon's fire, and of things that will bite. This idea of, okay, we're referencing the classic fairy tales, the traditional stories, but we're going more towards the dark side. This goes towards the dark side, but not in an evil way, interestingly. It's just kind of scary down there. And it's, again, I'm going back to what I said in my first listen, and somehow it's all coming flooding back as I listen to this. I remember saying something about it's not for a 2-year-old, it's maybe for a 5, 6, 7, 8, 9-year-old boy who's all into the dragons and scary stuff and you know, sword fights and destroying the villains in the world. This is like a child's vision of confronting a villain. It's that feeling here. And somehow I feel like the way the orchestra enhances that is giving it, again, this sort of out of reality, this unrealistic, in the world of imagination feel that at the same time feels quite real. But it's very clear that this is in the land of imagination. And I like what that does here, because it allows it to get really dark and scary without getting evil, without getting mean, without getting heavy. And it feels like a really great transition and contrast with what we had before. Just listen, as we're coming to the end of this crazed, excited guitar, which he does amazingly well. Okay, drums are setting it up. And he walks all the way down and he beats it. So the guitar, and then the bass and cellos take it over, and walk it down even further and make room for that voice. And the strings on top. Never mind that noise you heard. Isn't it the perfect setting? In the closet in your head. Yes, and these lights here, the changing colors, all of that, that is what I was saying the violins are doing sonically. Baby, don't say a word, and never mind that noise you heard. It's just a big in your bed, in your mind, Oh, I almost forgot too. What am I doing? I forgot. I was going to point out that violin bow. Notice, it's missing one of the hairs, or the hair is flying off. That means he's been really busy. Right there. Right there. You can't really see it. I can't get it to stop in the video, but you'll see it. I've been through it several times. It's flying. Ooh, listen to what the strings are doing now. Instead of dee-dee-dee-dee, now it's dee-dum, dee. The mood is changing. Here. Do the major and a minor second, back and forth. Oh, that's such a great dissonant moment there. Something's coming up here. Timpani announces it. There we go. Nice retard. Nice retard. I like it. Everybody's like, I want to play guitar like that.
We love you.
excitingly intense. Really, I've been commenting about how the orchestra isn't filling such a role as it did on yesterday's song, but you have to always serve the music. And I feel like what they did here, they served the music. And sure, you could balance it other ways, but in the end, it's all about serving the music and the vision for the piece. They stayed true to the vision of the piece. They stayed true to this story, this imagery, and this feel that is part of what makes this piece what it is. And I appreciate that they didn't dilute that. In fact, what they did brought out interesting things about it that were present within the potential of the piece, but now suddenly it's here. It's in our faces. We get to notice it and feel it and enjoy it. And that is really the goal in the end, right? Is to enhance, to enrich, and never dilute. You want it to stay concentrated and intense, just in whatever, I'll just pick the word mood, whatever feel you want the piece to have. It has to stay potent. And it did. And in that way, I am very pleased and impressed with what they accomplished here. I do love that middle section. So here we have 20 years apart, the same band, Metallica, taking on a symphony orchestra, the same orchestra project of combining rock with orchestra. And each time, at least with these two pieces of music, it turned out very well, very different, but very well. And I love the fact that each one is different too. It means they don't just have a certain flavor that they envision with everything that goes with orchestra. No, they're using it as they use their own instruments, as they use the way they handle the music themselves. And that is to create this musical piece of art that has its very own flavor, a unique flavor, a unique message, a unique environment. And that is what came across so well. I also have to acknowledge the arrangers, the conductors, and everything else, which all played such a part in this. And really, I've enjoyed this weekend. It's been a lot of fun, and I'm sure somewhere in the future I'll do another Rock with Orchestra weekend. So there we have it. What a lovely experience. And I can say that Metallica plays with orchestra and orchestra plays with Metallica very well. I'll see you soon.